Maida's subplot does not resolve itself at its own conclusion. Because even if we magically assume that things go the way that Jill Murray intends them to go, okay, we disable the tower, the satellite's not working, it's not watching anymore, and Maida's happy. Okay, cool. It's not explained or stated how long Alterra is going to be away. I assume they're in the Vesper. I assume they're orbiting 4546 speed. I assume this not because it's stated so explicitly in the game. I have to assume because it's so poorly written. I have to assume. Anyone has to assume. Why would we need to hide our presence when we arrive in the intro? Why do we use the meteor shower to sneak by Alterra if Alterra doesn't have a presence? Okay, so we disable that tower. Then what happens? Somebody on the Vesper, somebody at Alterra is like, hey, you know, they're tapping on the screen. Hey, our satellite feed went out. I assume somebody in charge will be like, we'll send a crew over there to repair it. No big deal. Okay. Alterra dispatches a crew. Alterra dispatches 2 crews. One crew to Delta Station to repair the radio tower, to repair link with the satellite and restore control and sync up. The second crew is sent to arrest Margaret Maida. Congratulations. We did nothing to help her. It doesn't make sense. It's like, wow. And you see, one problem is not a big deal. One issue with the game. Let's consider these issues little pebbles, right? Well, if Subnautica was a lake, then we're throwing pebbles into the lake. Subnautica does not have enough problems to make any of those pebbles noticeable. Now, you might notice the pebble as I'm throwing it into the lake. But once that pebble hits the lake, it's gone. It sinks. It becomes a part of the lake. And you no longer see the lake for the pebble. You see the lake for the water. Okay? Below zero, it's not a lake. It's a pond. You feel me? It's a koi pond. This pond goes up to my knees. And when we start throwing pebbles into that pond, believe me, there's enough pebbles, there's enough problems in below zero to where we start throwing these pebbles in the pond, we start displacing the water. That pond gets shallower and shallower. It gets to a point where you've got so many problems, we're throwing so many pebbles into that pond, it's not even a pond anymore. It's wet gravel. We're walking on top of wet pebbles. So, I'm not making a big deal out of any single one of these issues, but my God, Jesus Christ. So many issues everywhere. Every front, the story, the gameplay, the mechanics, the progression, the artwork, the biomes, the terrain, the asset streaming, the AI. Oh man. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. But when you make mistakes and you're proud of them, and somebody points out, hey, you made a mistake, that's not really something to be proud of. When you double down and you insult other people for pointing out your mistakes that you're so proud of, it makes you look a certain kind of way. What are you guys doing? What's the point? You can't reuse old storyline assets. You can't. Oh man, we did work on the old storyline. We rewrote the storyline, but we don't want to throw away this work that we did. Let's find a way to put it in the new storyline. Okay, well, that's just the problem. You didn't find a way to put it in. You just put it in. You rammed the triangle block into the square hole. You put the puzzle together, but you didn't do it right. You forced the jigsaw pieces into place where they didn't fit. You glued and taped the puzzle pieces together. Yeah, you did it your way, and it's your puzzle. You bought the box, you bought the puzzle pieces. You can make it however you want. But man, you made it wrong. You didn't do it right. You didn't put the puzzles together. You didn't tell a cohesive, coherent story. Even within whatever fantasy element aspect set forth in the universe, by its own rules, by its own structure, by its own merit, it fails. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even reach the own goals it sets out for itself. We're given objectives that serve no purpose towards a plot that serves no function. Oh man, Maida, how do you take the most interesting character, arguably the most interesting character from Subnautica? Because Riley is us. We are Riley. Riley is a faceless puppet. We know so very little. The Altera PDA is not really a person. The Sea Emperor is a character, but it's not human. And we know so very little. The only other options we have are the information we know about other Aurora survivors or the Degassi survivors. And you know what? Margaret Maida is the most interesting character. You took the most interesting character and you brought her back to life in the most uninteresting way. And you put her in a game with the most boring, nonsensical story I can imagine. How do you do that? How do you take a Picasso and tear it into pieces, and then you use Elmer glue to glue the pieces back in a different way, and then you're like, look at my impression on Picasso, look at my artwork? No, you took something that was art and you savagely destroyed it. And it wasn't just an accident. This was a process. This was a process that you either allowed this to happen or you encouraged it. You hired people not based on their skills or their talents, but you hired people based on the color of their skin, the pronouns that they use, and their sexual identification, their orientation. You hired people based on identity politics to meet a quota. Diversity hires. Not hiring people based on their merit. Meritocracy. People with the right qualifications get the job. Therefore, the people working for you have the highest chance for success, the best opportunity to most accurately convey the nature of your product to your customer. And instead, you set out to tell a story and you fail to do that. You don't even tell a story. You're telling opinions. You're not telling a story. You're using the video game as a vehicle to supplement your personal politics. It's a platform for you to espouse your garbage. Keep your politics out of my escapist entertainment. I'll make another video series on the politics. I hit Sam. I'm working on Maida right now. I'm going to get into Alan in another video series. I can spend a whole nother video series talking about the politics. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'll keep the political discussion out of Maida's for now, at least. But, oh man. And what takes away even more merit, what makes Maida less of a character, is she's nothing but an NPC sending us on fetch quests. And her fetch quest that's supposed to tie into Sam's, it's a throwaway PDA. That's it. We don't even need to find it. How's it required? It's not required.